All right, it's time for fun. We are back. More Drive-Thru, more Jim Cornette, the star of the show.
Yeah, you got to make sure to get that in after the organ. That might have run some people
Oh,
off.
stop it. I don't think it ran anyone off. But Jim, speaking of stars, one of the classic stars of TV's past, whether it was Lassie or Lost in Space, June Lockhart died this past week at age 100. Any thoughts and memories of June Lockhart?
Well, I never met the lady, so I don't have any memories personally per se, but I couldn't believe I didn't even think. I realized when I heard that she had died that I hadn't heard that she had died, and she was 100 years old. That's incredible. And I didn't even realize she was in A Christmas Carol, the 1938 version. Did you know that?
I didn't know it until I read one of the obituaries and saw the picture of
Yes.
her as one of the kids. Yeah.
She was like 13 years old. She was the daughter of Gene Lockhart, who was an actor in the 20s and 30s and probably further back than that in vaudeville, etc. But she was one of the kids in A Christmas Carol. And, we were talking about a couple of weeks ago when you sent me the Irwin Allen book, and I've always been a big Lost in Space fan. But at the time that Lost in Space went on the air, she was the biggest name star in the cast. And I mean, you get Guy Williams had been Zorro on TV and he had done some action movies, but she had starred in Lassie, which was one of the hottest programs on the air. She'd been in movies. She'd had a career for 30 years at that point as a teenager. So at that time, and now maybe everybody thinks, oh, Billy Mooney was in everything and Jonathan Harris or what, but she was the star at that point.
You ever think about if Billy Mooney had the career of Ron Howard? Like if their lives were reversed, how different things would be?
Ron Howard would have been lost in space with a robot and Jonathan Harris, and Billy Mooney would have been over there kissing up to Aunt B.
Lassie was a big hit, and she left it and went right to Lost in Space. It wasn't like there was like a 3-year gap or anything. It was just she went from Lassie to Lost in Space.
Are a lot of the kids out there now going, Lassie? What the fuck?
You sound like Timmy.
Again, Lassie. I'm old enough. I watched Lassie first run when I was a young kid because I loved dogs as much then as I do now. But I'm old enough to have seen that program. But it was a big fucking deal.
No, when I was a kid, they started re-airing it on Nickelodeon. So a lot of kids my age, now we're middle-aged men. A lot of middle-aged men my age grew up seeing Lassie on Nickelodeon.
But she was the perfect mother. That's why it was typecasting for Lost in Space. She was the perfect television mother.
Well, no.
Except she went from a farm to out in space.
She was a great television mother, but I think the perfect television parents, hands down, are June and Ward Cleaver. So I would go with Barbara Billingsley.
Well, I don't know. June Lockhart had more warmth to her. Now, I don't know about Ward. He might have been a fine fellow, but June Cleaver just didn't goddamn do it for me. She was a bit standoffish.
Stand with who, Eddie?
Well, just with all of them, wearing the pearls and everything. She should have goddamn had some knee pads on and a scarf around her neck and been putting in some elbow grease on that house. You saw there was June Lockhart and Maureen Robinson. She was out there on a fucking dead planet in the middle of nowhere, and she's in the hydroponic garden. She's getting her hands dirty. She's using the laser guns and driving the chariot. What's fucking June Cleaver doing? Using a vacuum cleaner.
That show taught lessons. I think that's the more important thing, as opposed to a whimsical and fun journey through space with a somewhat creepy doctor clinging closely to a young boy and his robot on weird planets with sometimes they're furry, sometimes they look like humans, sometimes they're from the old West. You never know what you're going to find.
Think about this now. The only one of the cast who never went anywhere was Mark Goddard. Because Billy Mumy was in all kinds of things.
He was in a lot of stuff, yeah.
And Angela Cartwright was sisters with Veronica Cartwright. They were actresses in all variety of. Veronica Cartwright was in Invasion of the Body Snatchers in '78.
I always thought
Jonathan Harris.
When I was a kid, I thought she looked like Liza Minnelli when I would see the reruns of it.
Well, but she didn't sing like her. Jonathan Harris had been on all kinds of program, but he was a character actor. He never really starred in anything. He was a character actor that embodied whatever he was doing, and they let him run wild with Dr. Smith. But Marta Kristen and Mark Goddard never went anywhere except outer space.
Once again, this is a tribute to June Lockhart, not a roast of all of her friends.
Well, no, she was probably as disappointed in Judy as the rest of the family, because Judy was the bland daughter. And you just know that she was blowing Mark Goddard behind that fucking asteroid.
Oh, stop it. You stop. Again,
you know, because
right at the end, you have to go right to the filth.
It would be incest or sex with a senior citizen if anybody had fucked besides Don and Judy.
Once again,
or some kind of robot fucking hand job with those claw hands. How's he gonna fucking? You might program him, but you know, fuck, that'd be like an Edward Scissorhands kind of thing.
Once again, we're celebrating the life of June Lockhart, 100 years old.
I'm just saying, well, you think she didn't know what was going on?
Thank God you're focusing on this instead of Lassie, I guess, considering the tone. I was surprised that every biography...
There was a farm involved. They didn't need to abuse the dog.
I saw a few different articles on her, and like they all mentioned, and I obviously didn't know this, that she was really into rock and roll. They said like she used to like be really into the Stones, and I was like, really? June Lockhart?
There you go.
You can't see it.
Boy, you should have seen her on Timothy Leary's shit. She was a wild chick back in the swinging 60s. When she was in her swinging 60s.
Well, I think this was after the 60s. I think like it was after Lost in Space and everything. She just like got really into rock and roll. Like they said she carried around one photo in her wallet, and it was a photo of David Bowie. You know what I mean? She got really into it. I'm impressed. Like, you never
She'd
would hear.
be in her 50s in the 70s. So that's, yeah, well, see, you can't judge a book by its cover. Maybe I was wrong about her and Dr. Smith. You never know.
Let's end on an upbeat note, a great career, and lots of memorable television shows that we could hopefully watch over and over again in the future. June Lockhart,